people in the United States of America within the next 25 years are going to have to realize that not only are they not white, but they are also no longer in the numerical majority in this country. And that is what has white males scared to death, because they're afraid that if they lose their power, they will be treated by other people the way we have treated those other people. That's what's going on.
What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. I want to clear up some misinformation that's being passed along to white people and to everybody else around the world as white people, Europeans globally, come to grips with their population decline. They are under the impression that they were ever in history a significant population of this planet. They have convinced themselves that they were once 30% of global population. They have convinced themselves that they were 30% of the global population, and now they're only 7% of the global population, which I always found ironic, because there's never been any actual data to prove that they have ever, in the history of the world, been 30% of anything. Now, while they do that, they downplay and continue to downplay the population of Asia and Africa, especially Africa. With the maps that you see now, a lot of people visualize Africa being a lot smaller than it is. But in fact, Africa is 4 times bigger than what you see on your globe and on your map, okay? And Europe is 4 times smaller than what you see on that map. They actually make Europe protrude out a little bit, right, to make it look more significant. They even call their peninsula a continent. Imagine the Eurocentric ego to call your coastline, the peninsula, a small waterway coastline of Asia, a continent. And even by the definition of a continent, they don't even come close to meeting the criteria. But yet they are convinced that Europe is a continent, when in fact, it's Asia. And Europeans are round-eyed Asians mixed with Neanderthals. That's what they are. Asians were here first. All right. Now, if you ask a European on the street, hell, you ask an Asian on the street, ask some black people on the street, because we all been conditioned with the false propaganda. Some white people think that they're 70%, 60, 70, 40, and they think they have come down to 7%. Listen, if you were 30 to 40% of global population, and you whittled your way down to 7% from that by itself means that your entire race is a failure. Okay? Because white folks only been around, the definitive white, archetype have only been around for barely 8,000. We're giving you 8,000. Maybe 9,000. You ain't even been here a solid 10,000 years. And in that 10,000 years, Europeans have made sure that their population has never gone past probably haven't even touched 20%. White people haven't even touched 20%. Do you know why? Hygiene. The Black Death. The plague. On top of the Black Death and plague, the famine, and the continuous xenophobic, tribalistic wars that is European culture. Europeans have never been able to sit around and relax because they've always been fighting for the finite resources on that peninsula of Asia, the edge of Asia, the round-eyed Asians we call Europeans. Okay, you've never had an opportunity to relax and flourish in any land of abundance for any amount of time to create a population significant enough to consider yourself a massive global population. But what you guys have done has tricked the world in making everybody believe that you're bigger than you are. You make everybody believe that even on your TV shows, when you show the Middle Ages, where you got your knights in shiny armor, looking all heroic, and you had battles where you had 100,000 on this side and 100,000, making it look epic when in actuality it was a few thousand fat, bald, rich dudes fighting because egos and territory and resources. Those pathetic battles in Europe, they didn't look cool like they looked on the movies. And it wasn't that many troops on the battlefield. Those are just movies. And because you know who owns Hollywood, they make themselves everybody. They made themselves Egyptians. Hell, even in the Tomb Raider, shit, they got the nerve to make the white guy the goddamn one of the most famous black tribes in Africa. They made them all white in the Mummy movie. They just can't help it, can they? Y'all know what I'm talking about, huh? I think the Majin, I forgot, I'm saying it wrong. Correct me in the comments section. But they made an historically, unapologetically, undeniable black tribe of Africa. They made them white. Like Arabically white. Arabically white. Because you know, Arabs, a lot of them are white too. Right? These white people have been lying to themselves this entire time because they have to prop themselves up artificially because they can't stand up on their own 2 feet in the real world when it comes to any of these statistics. So white people need to understand you have always been the minority. Since your existence, you've been the minority. You're just the minority that just so happened to steal the right chemicals to create firearms. And you got the right mentality to take a precious item like gunpowder and turn it into a death machine that can kill thousands of people in a short amount of time. Because that's what white people have perfected. That is what you do. Kill. If you can't kill each other, you will kill others. If you can't kill each other and others, you'll kill nature. If you can't kill each other in nature, you'll kill yourself. Because your favorite pastimes is killing yourself recreationally. Look at the activities you guys are involved with. Let me go jump off this building for fun. Let me climb this ice sheet for fun. Let me go in the woods and chase some grizzly bears for fun. Let me do all this crazy shit for fun, but I'm scared of them black folks, though. That just goes to show you. You ain't scared of them grizzly bears. You ain't scared to jump out them planes. You ain't scared of none of that shit. When you see a black person, you're just something inside your DNA just triggers your fight or flight response, and usually it's flight. Unless there's like 30 of you, then all of a sudden y'all get real tough. But listen, you white folks have always been the minority. Always. That's why y'all love calling everybody else minority. It's a reflection. White, 7%. You know how insignificant 7% is? You know what happens if the entire world realizes that the troublemakers on the earth, the ones that commit all the death and destruction, confusion, and the degenerate human behavior, the people that's holding up progress of humanity? Because keep in mind, if we just start going down a list of human beings who have held back humanity, right? It always goes back to the same group of people, Europeans, all right? Had you Europeans not sacked Egypt and stole all the shit and ate the bones, right? And not burned that library in Alexander, we might have been 5 to 1,000 years in the future by now, right? Had y'all not burned down Rome, you Anglo-Saxon barbarian savages, we might have been at least 500 years in the future. And then when you tried to cosplay a great civilization, you had the Dark Ages where y'all pranced around pretending to be the Romans, but only in your own Christian way. And then after that, y'all had famine after death, after war. And the way y'all got y'all shit together, y'all just said, fuck it, we're going to go colonize the world. And for the last 500 years, you guys been up. Y'all been up and y'all burned and slashed and whitewashed history, erased history, replaced real history with your fake history. But now in the age of information, the truth is coming out. Come to find out, you guys have not been as grandiose as you have come off, not have been as great as you guys have advertised. Your white Wakandas have not been as advanced and significant as you would like it to believe. And the fact that Africa was far more advanced, government-wise, military-wise, minus the weapons of mass destruction that we did not have, right? City-wise, advanced cities with plumbing and showers and flushing toilets and all that stuff that you guys didn't have, okay? Now that everybody's waking up to that, we're realizing, why the fuck we letting these people, you know? Why we letting y'all do all this? Why we let y'all gallivant like y'all this? No. Now you guys have to come to the reckoning of reality. And the reality is you're 7% of the world's population. You're genetically weak. And without that gun, you can't world conquer. So that means you got to humble yourselves, right? You're going to have to. Because there's absolutely nothing you can do about this. And then on top of the 7%, it's your 7%, right, that you've been holding on to that is dwindling. So what does that mean? By 2046, where you going to be at then? How can white supremacy hold on to power at 7%? Especially when everybody know. Because in a couple years, shit, you're going to be at 6. You're going to be at 5. Shit, the only people going to be left is them billionaires, right? But they getting old too, and they ain't having babies. Elon Musk got 15 babies. About 15 baby mamas, right? But shit, he ain't going to get him money because he's so greedy he don't want to give money to his kids. So when all these billionaires die, because if you not notice, most of these white billionaires, they in their 80s. What's going to happen when they die? When that money transferred down to the irresponsible kids that's never ran a business, never ran a freaking organization, and they go and blow it on the same shit irresponsible people do when they get a bunch of money and don't know what to do with. When all them white boy rich money gets metastasized back into the greater societies. And then you be at 5%. And then your daughters ain't got no choice but to pick what they really want. And you can't get mad because ain't enough of you to be in the choice selection. So that means y'all gonna go from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 to 0 to the history books. That is a guaranteed thing to happen. That's guaranteed to happen one day, very soon. As a matter of fact, I may actually be alive to see it. And that's amazing. To see the day where a white person, defined as we see it today, becomes a rare sight. Shit, where I'm from in D.C., when I see a white person, I'm clutching my bag. Where you come from? When I see, in my community, when I see a white person, it's weird. Because it's everybody black or Latino. All right? I notice that shit in my area. See a white person, white? Like unicorns. So, yeah, it's just a matter of time. You know, flash in the pan. But you guys are on the minority. From now on, we got to stop using this minority. We not minorities. We majority. Africans and Asians have always been the majority. Period. Africans and Asians have always been the majority. Say it with me now. Africans and Asians have always been the majority. One more time now. Africans and Asians have always been the majority. And Europeans have always and forever will be the minority until they are no more. And that doesn't mean that you guys are physically going extinct, like a genocide. You guys are becoming the thing that you desire the most deep down inside. So I don't even know what the problem is. You guys are going back to the fold. All right. You're being remixed. Your dough is being remixed. We're adding nutrients to your dough. Right? You will be a part of the melanated world soon enough. All right. You're going to go from Scandinavian to Italian. You're going to go from Italian to Maltese. Okay. You're going to go from Maltese to light-skinned black to goddamn Nile Valley freaking Neolithic charcoal blue black. That's what's going to happen. All right. Y'all going full goddamn circle. All right. So look forward to it because I know you are secretly. All right. The only people who are upset are those weird white people who are obsessed with black people who don't pay them no mind because they're super insecure about the fact that they're not as manly, and these are usually white men, as that black man that they're looking at. That when they stand next to that black man, they see a lion and they're a pussycat. So only pussycats can talk shit when the lion walks off. All right, but they can't do it in their face unless it's 1,000 pussycats. Then they jump on the lion. And about 500 of them still get killed. It's one of them type of situations. But other than those weird ass white folk, the rest of y'all gonna be all right. Y'all gonna get everything if you want. Y'all gonna get that C4 hair. Y'all ain't gonna have to go outside and worry about the sun killing y'all. You ain't gonna have to go to them tanning beds no more. Hell, y'all gonna have rhythm. Y'all gonna be able to fucking get on the beat. Ain't you excited about that shit? Oh, y'all gonna be on real. All right? We look forward to the day that we don't have to invite you to the cookout because you're already invited. One day, you won't have to be invited to the cookout because you'll automatically have an invite. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn some T-Tum. I'm out.
What if I told you there are only 6 continents and not 7? You might ask how. Here's how. Europe is a fake continent by definition. Now you're asking yourself why. Here's why. First of all, we should understand what a continent is. A continent is a large area of land on Earth that is separated from other large areas by oceans. Almost all continents fit this definition, except Europe. But why is Europe considered to be a continent in the first place then? Although Europe and Asia are part of the same large landmass known as Eurasia, we have to go back in time. The idea of Europe as a separate continent dates back to ancient Greek geography. The Greeks divided the known world into 3 parts: Europe, Asia, and Africa, mostly based on cultural and political differences, not geographical ones. However, many people argue that Europe is actually divided from Asia by the Ural Mountains, Ural River, Caspian Sea, and Caucasus Mountains. But if you look closely, those are just man-made boundaries on one continuous piece of land. Proof that Europe, by definition, isn't truly a separate continent. So what do you personally think? Is Europe a separate continent?
Europe is not even a continent. It's not. Europe has defined what is a continent. A continent is a large island surrounded by water. North America, nice. Large island surrounded by water. No problem. Your continent, brother. I approve. South America, large island surrounded by water. I approve. Africa, large island surrounded by water. I approve. Australia, large island surrounded by water. Antarctica, large island surrounded by water. One penguin is there. There is only one more continent. It's this. This is not a separate continent. I am a person. This is my hand. It is part of me only. This can't have a different passport. Europe is Asia. Europeans are Asians. This is not Eastern Europe. This is Central Asia.
What percent of the world's population is white?
63, 42,
51.
70,
40,
30 or 20,
70.
80,
24%,
70.
20, 30,
43. 24.
20, 30,
80%.
0.
What if I told you it was 7%?
7%?
7%.
Only 7%?
Yeah.
No
The
way.
whole world.
Your white people are like top of the world.
7%.
7? What? You
7 to 8% is what?
Hang on. That's not true.
It's true.
No, it's not.
It's below 10%.
Nah, that's bull.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's 7.
shit. And I'm about to be a teacher.
Don't
Don't learn from me, brother.
Taking the piece, bro.
No, it's a real. It's below 10%. Some estimates put it 7 to 8%.
What's this TikTok? I'll share.
Ozpill.
Yeah, Ozpill. Yeah.
Wait, post me, yeah?
Yeah, you'll see.
Are white people really the majority in the United States? Every year, of course, we do a census, and the census definitely backs up this notion. Here's the 2020 census. These are numbers, but why would I be skeptical? Because according to the census website, this is what qualifies as white. Meet me at part 2. Click here to check out part 1. If you notice here, it allows Middle Eastern and North Africans to claim white. But the Middle East is located in Asia and Africa. So these are African Americans and Asians being counted as white. And if you look at North Africa, it even goes as far as Sudan. Part 3 is in the comments. Part 3 is up here. This is what qualifies as Northern Africa. It includes everyone from Egyptians to Sudanese. Your original thought might be that North African must have pale skin. These people would be considered, so would these people. And even these people. If we go back to the language, no parts of Europe are being chopped up like this. Links you to the previous. African American or Black says that they have to be part of Black racial groups of Africa. But these people were definitely darker skinned and being counted towards white. However, for Asian, we see that India is being included because it is in fact a part of Asia, even though Indians can look like this. So my question is, how if you're born in Africa, you literally take a flight to Africa, are you not considered African American under the census? And if you're born in Asia, you're not considered Asian under the census. How do we possibly get a real count of who's in America?
I seen this creator talking about how the census is not true. We not like the 13 or 16% or whatever they say that we is of the U.S. population. And I believe that's true. Because think about it. When was the last time you filled out a census? When was the last time your mother, your father, your grandparents filled out a census? I don't know about you, but where I come from, we don't fill that shit out. We never filled out a census. My mama, my sister, my aunties, we don't fill that out. Because we feel like, what the government want? Why are you trying to be in our business? You feel me? So I think we are more than 16% of the population. I think we are up there like 50, maybe more. Because they like to separate us from the Haitians and the Jamaicans, and knowing that we all have the same cultural background. We all came off them slave ships. They just got dropped off on a different island. But we are the same people. And if you add all of us together, yeah, we're definitely at least 50% or more. If you want to add in the biracial, probably 75% if you want to be honest.
There are 42 million Black Americans, all descendants of slaves. Did you know that's the same size of population as Afghanistan? There are more Black people in the United States than there are people in Canada. Black population is bigger than the population of an entire country. Did you know that there are more Black Americans than the average country? Ghana only got 37 million people, 39. Regardless, we overpopulate them. The idea that we are a minority, it's meaningless. We're a minority only because we live in a country that takes up 1/3 of an entire continent. There are more Black Americans than there are people in California and Texas. Those are the largest states in America. If Black people all gathered in one place, we could have a small country. We are a nation inside of a nation. We are unlike other minorities because we are all the same. We aren't just a race. We are one culture. We don't come from different nations, different cultural backgrounds. We represent one culture, one identity. Stop letting the diasporic people trick you out your spot. We don't need to look to the diaspora for identities with 42 million strong, bigger than the average African nation, under one tribe. Not segmented people under the guise of a nation, but one people under one identity. We have accomplished more in this nation than fully Black nations with Black leadership. People's opinions about who we are is irrelevant. At this point, 42 million people, doesn't matter what happened 400 years ago. Doesn't matter from the different places we came from. All of that is long gone. The only thing that matters is that we're here now. We're looking to the future that we're about to build. We are in the coming of a Black Renaissance era. It will not be missed because people are looking to the past and to the diaspora for answers when they have none. It's time to let all of that go. None of that stuff matters anymore. We are here. We're not going nowhere with 42 million people. Let that sink in. 42 million. We are a nation.
Black and ethnic minorities, despite the fact that you like to refer to us as minorities, we are not a minority. We are the majority on the planet. And we outnumber Caucasians, who are a very small minority on the planet. We outnumber you a minimum of 11 to 1. That's the reality. But you think that you are a majority because you've convinced yourself of your white supremacy. And because you currently control the news media and you currently control various strategic regions in geopolitics, you push yourself into the center of everybody's business and you convince yourself that you are so numerous and you're so powerful and you're all consuming on the planet. But I have to say to you, this is just a myth. You are the minority on the planet. The Black man is the majority. And if we thought like you, as I said before, you wouldn't be here.
17th century Europe was witness to one of the longest and most brutal wars in human history. The conflict lasted for over a generation and was responsible for the deaths of up to half the population in some countries. When it finally ended, it resulted in a new geopolitical order, which, for the most part, still exists today. Learn more about the 30 Years' War, one of the bloodiest wars in world history, on this episode of Everything Everywhere Daily.
The 30-Year War decimated Europe. Up to 25% of Europeans died during the war. It all started in a Prague castle when 3 Catholic officials were thrown from a window. The ensuing war started in 1618, and no one knew that this war would last 30 years and impact so many lives. This became known as total war. No longer were armies fighting combatants, but civilian populations were drawn into the strife. This was a war between the superpower Catholics against the upstart Protestants. Nobility fighting nobility. Who was caught between them? The hapless peasants. After 30 years of war, 25 million casualties, another 45 million displaced or otherwise affected, peace finally was restored on the continent of Europe, and the map was redrawn.
In 1453, the 100 Years' War finally came to an end, closing one of the longest and most transformative conflicts in European history. After decades of struggle, France regained nearly all of its lost territories. English forces were driven from the mainland, retaining only the port of Calais. What had begun as a dynastic dispute ended with a clear shift in power and in the nature of warfare itself. The final phase of the war revealed a new weapon that would reshape battlefields forever: artillery. Cannons thundered against city walls, reducing stone fortresses that had once seemed invincible. The age of the armored knight, dominant for centuries, began to fade. Cavalry charges and personal valor could no longer withstand the destructive force of gunpowder. War was becoming less about individual heroes and more about technology, logistics, and centralized power. As the fighting ended, something even more important was taking shape. In France, victory strengthened royal authority and awakened a shared sense of identity among its people. In England, defeat forced a retreat inward, encouraging political change at home. Across Europe, the idea of the nation, bound by language, land, and loyalty, started to replace the older medieval order of feudal ties. When the cannons fell silent in 1453, the 100 Years' War was over. And with it, the Middle Ages quietly passed into history, making way for a new era.
The Catholic Church exterminated an entire civilization in just 20 years and called it a Holy Crusade. In 1209, Pope Innocent III declared total war against the Cathars in southern France. They were not conquerors or invaders. They were peaceful Christians whose only crime was interpreting the Bible differently from Rome. The papal legate Arnaud Amalric led the siege of Béziers in July 1209. When soldiers asked how to distinguish Catholics from heretics inside the city, he delivered one of the coldest sentences in medieval history: kill them all. God will recognize his own. In 3 hours, 20,000 people were slaughtered: men, women, children, and infants. Many were burned alive inside churches where they had fled seeking refuge. The numbers are staggering. Between 1209 and 1229, the Albigensian Crusade wiped out more than 1 million Cathars. Entire cities were erased from the map: Béziers, Carcassonne, Toulouse. Each massacre was celebrated with victory masses in Rome. Simon de Montfort, the butcher chosen by the Pope, refined methods of extermination. He ordered the eyes torn out of 100 prisoners, leaving one man with a single eye to lead the blinded survivors back to their cities as a warning. In Lavore, 400 Cathars were burned alive at once on the largest pyre ever built. Lady Guiraud was thrown alive into a well and stoned to death. Her crime, sheltering heretics in her castle. But the true motive behind the crusade was not religion, it was money. The Cathars controlled some of the richest trade routes in Europe. Their lands produced gold, wine, and spices. The Pope offered full indulgences and legal rights to loot to any noble who joined the crusade. It was the largest legalized robbery of the Middle Ages. An institution that preached love for one's neighbor orchestrated the systematic destruction of over 1 million people, whose only crime was worshiping the same God in a different way. If it shocks you how fanaticism has erased entire civilizations, follow us for more.
These are the top 7 countries with the most deaths in World War I. Starting this off at number 7, Romania. Number 6, Italy. 5. The British Empire. 4. Austria-Hungary. 3. La France. 2. Maharashtra. And number 1, you know it, Germany.
Roughly the same number of Germans died in Stalingrad as all the Western Front fighting against France, the UK, and the US. And though Stalingrad was a victory for the Soviets, they suffered almost twice as many losses as Germany. The Soviet Union would eventually defeat the once unstoppable German army, killing 2.3 million Nazi soldiers. But winning the war came at a cost. 8.7 million is the official tally by the Russian military, a hotly disputed number. Some studies have calculated as many as 14 million dead. To complete the count of European military deaths, we need to add German deaths from other fronts, including the North and Africa, as well as deaths from other Axis powers allied with the Nazis, Hungary, Romania, and Italy. When you put these European military deaths on the timeline, it looks like this.
Russia has had a staggering 1.3 million casualties in Ukraine since the war started 3 years ago. According to new data from The Economist, since the invasion began, there have been between 900,000 and 1.3 million Russian troops killed or wounded. That includes as many as 350,000 deaths and a shocking 31,000 Russians killed just in the summer offensive so far. This is just the last couple of months, guys. Ukraine's losses are also heavy, though much lower, with estimates of 73,000 to 140,000 soldiers killed since the war began. Despite pouring men and weapons into the fight, Russia's Putin, the gains remain tiny. Their summer offensive is clawing back only 15 square kilometers a day, the size of Los Angeles Airport. At that pace, it would take the Russians 89 years to conquer all of Ukraine, and even seizing the rest of the 4 regions that the Russians already invaded, Luhansk, Donetsk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia, would take until 2029. But Putin isn't backing down. He's luring in 10,000 to 15,000 new troops each month with big bonuses, because a lot of them are dying, while Ukraine struggles with manpower and delays in American weapons. Trump did just announce that America will restart weapon shipments, saying Ukraine has to defend itself as the Russians are pounding Ukrainian cities. Because a great nation deserves the truth, I'm John Aravosis from Washington.
So it just came out this morning that Ukraine has reportedly lost 1.7 million men in the Russian-Ukrainian war. That's ridiculous. I mean, I knew it was high, but damn, 1.7 million men. And it also states that Russian hackers breached the Ukrainian Armed Force General Staff database, leaking the information. 118,500 deaths in 2022, 405,400 in 2023, 559,000 in 2024, and a record 621,000 in 2025. Damn. And I don't even want to say what I've been saying all of those few years of that war, what was going on in Ukraine, that, because, I don't want to, but that's ridiculous. That's mind blowing.
The Black Death, Black Plague, only lasted 4 years.
Only?
Within 4 years, 50% of Europe's population died.
I know.
Whoa.
And they said certain cities lost upwards of 70%, like Florence, Paris, and London.
Yikes. Because they were pooping and throwing it out the window. You know how that...
And how did it originate?
Yeah. Rats. The rats had it. They had like whatever disease.
Okay.
The fleas bit the rats. The fleas bit the people.
Jeez.
They got the spread. Historians estimate 75 to 200 million people died.
In 4 years.
4 years. That's the world population,
That's
too.
so scary.
Which makes you think, what would the world be like today if all those people didn't die?
You know what I think about all the time when I think about the plague is when we were on our honeymoon in Scotland and we went on a tour of, they call them closes.
For real.
It was so tight. You're underground.
Dark tunnels. And they have like mannequins of people with the Black Plague. They're like,
You're trapped in a room with them. And the whole time I'm thinking like, there could be a germ in here that never got disinfected.
That's
and
crazy.
I could be the next candidate to bring the plague back.
But what you pointed out about Europe, that 1.3 is statistically impossible to reverse, then that would mean it's the death of Italy, of Spain, maybe soon, Greece, and France. So what happens to those civilizations?
Canadians, we love our social programs. We are in love with them. And, you know, most Canadians pay near and dear for them. We spend upwards of 50% of our income in various taxes in order to fund these things. But that can only work so long as there is a healthy base of taxpayers to support these programs. Now, what happens when the birth rate plummets? Well, governments are left with very little options. And one of the only ones they retort to is to open the floodgates and to let mass migration, catastrophic mass migration, within the country. And this inadvertently leads to cultural decay and, most importantly, the erosion of social cohesion.
I count 4 major powers in the world right now: the US, Russia, China, and India. Europe doesn't show up on that list of 4 because of Europe allowing itself to be debased by the United States. And the Washington view is, we got enemies. Russia's an enemy. China's an enemy. They're big. They're powerful. We have to somehow keep them in their place because we need to be number 1 in the world. And Europe looks at the US and says, please protect us. Save us from all these nasty people. Daddy, please. Because the US does not like strong leaders. They want leaders that will say daddy to them. And you look at the approval rating of these people, their publics have no confidence at all in Starmer, in Merz, in Macron. But that also reflects this idea of when van der Leyen came back from the trade negotiations and said, it's great. They only hit us a little bit. They could have killed us, but they only hit us a little bit. We had a great success. Trump is a nasty SOB. So he thinks, okay, we're going to bargain. First thing, I'm going to slug you in the face. I'm going to weaken you. I'm going to pummel you. I'm going to bloody your nose. Then I'm going to say, oh, we could be great friends. Let's talk. What is it? What is the mentality? Europe has 450 million people. It's a big, smart, intelligent place. Its history is 10 times longer than the United States of America. Say, all right, asshole, I'm not going to deal with you. You're out to get me. But it's a very bad strategy face to face to say, Daddy, please. And this is a standard issue of human beings in general. When you're in what we call a strategic dilemma, situation where if we cooperate, we both gain. If we both fail to cooperate, we both lose. But if you're soft and I'm tough, I gain some advantage over you.
Well, it's just too expensive, and I'm a very conservative person. I pay for everything. I pay taxes, and I'm not on welfare.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.